Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. As you can see by the title, today we are going to do a little bit of a get ready with me using only drugstore products. Reason being is I've found myself kind of getting back into some old habits of buying things I don't necessarily need. So I'm going to be shifting my channel back. Well, I don't even know if I can truthfully call it back to like more using what you have, and I have some ideas coming up. So if you're kind of in that anti-consumerism, using what you have, loving what you have idea, sorry, I just put my contacts in for the first time in a very long time and one is really bothering me. So first of all, I'm going to get my hair out of my face with this very non-Candace headband. Okay, so the first product I'm going to use is the CoverGirl True Blend Color Neutralizing Primer. And the reason I like this, and I will put prices down here. My skin is very red. If you've been here for any kind of time, you know that my skin is red. And this really does neutralize underneath my foundation a lot of redness. A lot of people were commenting on my glasses in my last couple of videos. For those of you who want to know what they are, and if I haven't got back to you, I've tried to get back to everybody. They are by Roberto Cavalli, and they are, the model is Abbadia, A-B-B-A-D-I-A 5001. Also, I have also had some people PM me and tell me that I should stop wearing glasses because the ring light shows up with them. Well, let me tell you, I don't wear them for fun. I'm blind and I need to see. So I'm sorry that you see the ring light. So I actually just realized I don't have a ton of drugstore concealers, which is weird for me because typically I prefer drugstore face products. But I'm gonna use the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer just to do some spot concealing. I would typically use green, again, because my face is very red, but I don't have any drugstore green concealers. What actually made me think of the glasses was that they're like leaving marks on my nose on both sides. This side is definitely worse. For foundation, I'm going to use the L'Oreal Infallible Total Cover. For some reason, I can never remember what I'm actually like putting on my face at the time, and it is a full coverage weightless feel. I really liked this foundation for a long time. The last time I used it, it didn't go very well, so I'm going to see how it goes this time. I think L'Oreal does some of the better face products. Of all the drugstore brands, I do believe L'Oreal does some of the better foundations. I'm trying to use drugstore-ish brushes as well. This one is from Beauty Big Bang. It's an online drugstore cosmetics. They sent me a whole bunch of stuff and I actually really like their brushes. This foundation is a little bit thicker than what I would normally wear, and I don't know if that is like because it's a little older or if it's actually this thick. I actually, for some reason, can't remember. It does give good coverage though, and if you don't mind a little bit thicker of coverage, then this might be a good option for you. My skin has been so dry lately. I almost needed to moisturize it twice. I had a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to chat about with this Get Ready With Me, just like some life updates and some channel updates and just general what's going on. The last couple weeks at work have been really tough. We just went through a restructuring, which was very hard on my team specifically, so work for me was not very good the last few weeks and was causing a lot of stress. So if you saw any of my videos in that time and you felt like it was very apparent that that was happening, I am very sorry. It was not supposed to come through that way. Well, it's not the best coverage, but it's not the worst. I've had worse. gonna go back in with my Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer and try and get rid of some of these bags. Hopefully being on vacation is gonna help with that. So I've actually chosen to take some time off to just kind of reset and recharge. Between this and trying to get my health back in order and work out and how work has been going lately, I feel very drained and I'm struggling a little bit with just keeping myself stable. I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned it before. I don't have like anxiety or depression, I wouldn't call it. I do, in my family, what we like to call it, have valleys, where you can feel it happening, you know it's happening, and it's almost inexplicable, but you kind of just do this, and then you kind of stay down here. And you feel it, you know it's happening. It can't necessarily be medicated away, and eventually you just kind of pull out of it. I'm very good at knowing when this is happening, and I can typically call it out, like give people around me a warning that it's happening, because I think that's fair. A lot of people end up thinking that you're angry with them when you're really not. It has nothing to do with them. I'm going to be using the Stay Matte powder from Rimmel. This one is almost gone. There's like literally almost nothing left here. Anyway, so that sometimes shows through my videos as well. And everything that had been going on with work, and my best friend moving away was really tough. So she has moved to Calgary, which is on the complete other side of the country for me. I know everybody has a lot of stuff going on, but that's just what's been going on with me. So I have decided to take about a week off from work before I fly out to New York to go to Gen Beauty and meet my friend Kirsten. So I feel like that foundation is a little bit too light for me, so I'm gonna warm up my skin a bit with the Butter Bronzer. I know everybody's seen this a million times, so I won't spend too much time on it. So Kirsten and I decided we were going to both take a break from life and go back to Gen Beauty this year. We didn't see each other last year. We actually met on YouTube. I've spoken about her before. She has a makeup channel as well, where she does a lot of body painting, and she is actually like a educated, I think educated is a better word, makeup artist who works at Sephora. So we are both heavily looking forward to that. I cannot wait. I never really thought about the fact that I didn't get out a bronzer from the drugstore other than that. So I need a contour product from the drugstore. Funny enough, I'm actually going to use another Wet n Wild product. This is the contouring palette in Dulce de Leche. And I have used this before many times. I actually would have made this comparable to, what is that? Whoa. I used the Peach Parfait the other day on the end of this brush, and it just like blew Peach Parfait into my mouth. It was delicious. I realize that is super weird, but I feel like this is all over the place. It's not intending to be all over the place, it's just kind of happening. I really like this product, especially for the price. Most Wet n Wild products are killer, so if you're just like trying to get into makeup and you don't want to spend a ton of money, like direct your attention to Wet n Wild at the drugstore. They are the only ones that I believe have like truly held on to their drugstore price. The blush I'm going to use is the Wet n Wild Color Icon. I believe these are the, yes, ombre blushes, and this is in the shade Safety Sealed for Your Protection. Just kidding. What is this? The Princess Daiquiris. So when I first got this, my mom actually picked this up for me when she was in Target in the States recently. And all I could think was, oh, that was really cool because we obviously like Facebook video chat while she's shopping. So I can be like, buy that, buy that, buy that. But this looked a lot darker in the video chat. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's not gonna work very well. But watch, it's like magic. And the brush I'm gonna use is from an old Costco Kirkland, like random Kirkland brand, Costco brand brush set. Look, it shows up, it's so crazy. Something else I wanted to talk about, I did get my first tattoo about 2 weeks ago. I don't know if anybody has noticed it in my videos. It is on my wrist right here. So it's hard to see at this angle, but it is 4 paw prints. each signifying the dogs I've had in my life. I have actually had 5 dogs, but one of them ended up staying with my ex, who I'm still friends with, but I didn't want to step on any toes by getting a 5th paw print. So for a very long time, I wanted to get a tattoo. I could never decide what I wanted. I always knew I wanted it to be related to my dogs, but I just could never decide on what I wanted, and I couldn't seem to make the commitment. So I have talked about this before, but I was having a really tough time a few months ago, feeling like I was not living my life and I was not doing what I wanted to do, and that's how I ended up back at YouTube and traveling a little bit more. I'm using the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in black for my brows. So I just said that this year was going to be the year where I was going to do me, and part of that became actually getting the tattoo I wanted. And that tattoo was relative at the time because I didn't know exactly what I wanted. I went back and forth from having their names put on me to a paw print with a heartbeat to God knows what. And then a girlfriend of mine got a heart, just an outline of a heart on her wrist for her mother and her sister. And I loved how it looked. It was very ethereal, which is actually her clothing line, which I will link down below. It's super, super cool, very Canadian, very fashionable, very timeless. But I just loved the aesthetic in general and decided to do the paw prints. So each one is relatively the same, and it signifies Aurora, which was my first dog who lived with me when I was in college, and I got her when I was 10 around my birthday. And she was a very sweet border collie who was very smart and very funny and didn't trust no man ever. She had to be put down when I first started dating my husband, which was super, super tough. But when that happened, I had my now husband and I's dog, who was named Apollo. He was a boxer and very sweet and very funny, and he had a huge attitude on him. So I definitely had a fallback, sort of, to kind of bury my face in and deal with that sadness with. Then Apollo passed away a few years later from sudden cancer, which was super, super tough. And he is my 2nd paw print. I feel like my eyebrows look weird. My 3rd and 4th paw prints are Diesel and Athena, who you have all seen at some point or another. We actually adopted both of them since I have been on YouTube, and they are basically my heart and soul. Diesel likes to make cameos in my videos periodically, and Athena can't be bothered because that's just who she is. So typically for brow gel, I would have used the Essence one, but I don't have it anymore, so I'm using the Pixie by Petra, which can also be found at the drugstore. Anyway, I got in a long conversation with people about tattoos recently and how they regret a lot of theirs, so be careful what I get, blah, blah, blah. Which is totally a fair comment, but my whole thought process on it is you never see anybody who's gotten a tattoo in their life when they're on their deathbed and all they can think about is, damn, I didn't get this tattoo. So my other point with it is no matter what you put on your body, tattoos, whatever else, piercings, I don't believe you should regret them, because at one point that thing made you happy and you should never regret anything that ever made you happy. That also goes for people that were in your life. And that's my philosophical nonsense. My stepmom actually went with me to get it, and she really, really loved hers. She got a butterfly on her arm, and it was a bucket list item for her. So for my highlight, I'm going to use the Physicians Formula Butter Highlight in Champagne. So she actually wasn't going to get another one. We talked about it after. She was glad she did it. I knew I would probably get another one, just not sure when. So we are actually going back again this weekend to both get a second one. I'm going to be getting a rose down my side because it's going to be the meaning of all the women in my family. Because we're all very strong and beautiful, but we're all a little bit thorny. Just kidding. Most of the women in my family have the name Rose somewhere in their name, and I actually have the middle name Rose, so it's got a few meanings for me. So joke's on me, I don't actually have an eye primer that is drugstore except for the Milani eyelid primer, which I just threw on the floor, but I know I don't like it. Like, I really don't like it, and I need my makeup to last today because I'm going out to a haunted house tonight, so I'm not going to use that. So I'm going to use the regular one I use all the time, which is the Urban Decay Primer Potion. So I guess my last topic I want to talk about is the direction I'm going to be taking my channel for the rest of the year, at the absolute least for the rest of the year. Having gone through a lot of the little struggle bus times over the last little bit, I've really noticed some of my bad habits coming in from when I was much younger. So the palette I'm going to give a try is the Revolution Reloaded palette, which is kind of a dupe for the Subculture palette. I haven't used it yet, I've only swatched it, it just came yesterday, so let's give it a go. So just to give a little bit of background, I had a very, let's call it interesting relationship when I was about 20. I lived with a guy, and honestly, I have spoken to this person recently. I have no ill will towards him. I do not believe he's a bad person before I get into this conversation. And oh, these are fairly powdery, holy. I honestly believe he is a good person who made bad choices. So we were in a relationship that at the time you don't really realize is not good, but it was not good. This is the shade I'm using here. He was dealing drugs at the time. This is not a secret. Anybody that knows me knows this was happening. I have never done drugs of any kind, like literally nothing. I've never even smoked a cigarette, but I was in that environment. I'm going to go in with this green now and see what happens. Anyway, long story short, I was not happy. I was working a lot. He was never home, and I was by myself a lot, and I was convinced he was cheating and blah, blah, blah. So all types of sketchy shit was going on, and to deal with that, I got very addicted to online shopping. So if I wasn't happy, or if I was feeling lonely, I would get my ass on eBay and start warring with people over a whole bunch of shit I didn't need. Not recommended. Ultimately, I ended up with a fairly significant load of debt at a very young age. For full transparency, probably about $20,000 in consumer debt, just with like multiple credit cards. And I had a really hard time coming to terms with what was happening to me. I'm talking like 100 different purses, so much clothes, like I had a room for my shoes, and everybody's like, oh wow, like this must be so fabulous for you. I'm gonna go back into this color here. But it wasn't, it was very stressful, and I was like not able to pay rent, and I was having my mother bail me out all the time, which I fully appreciate, and I am so thankful that she didn't throw me out on the street or away from her life. I was not a bad kid. Like, I really wasn't. I always did well in school. It was just in a super shitty position with this guy. I don't have an addictive personality. I have a very good willpower. Like, this was the first time in my life I felt out of control. I'm gonna go in with this darker shade here and just darken up my outer corner. So basically where I'm going with this is I got myself out of debt. I got myself out of that relationship. I got very aware of my spending as an adult. So it's been about 15 years almost since that has gone down. And I know you learn the most important lessons the hardest way. And I don't actually regret any of it. I'm glad I did it because I know a lot of people are in a lot of debt, and I am not one of those people, and I never will be. But recently, and I catch myself doing this about once a year, is my coping mechanism for things going on in my life. I don't know how I feel about how these are blending. They seem to be like kind of patchy on the side. my coping mechanism is to shop because I love the feeling of being in control of that purchase and then like going and getting it from the mailbox. Like that is what I really like. I'm gonna go into this shimmery green here now. See how it plays out. It's kind of stiff. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. So I did my palette declutter, and basically where I'm going with this is recently I've probably bought more than I decluttered, and I do it under the guise that I'm going to be reviewing this for my channel. Like I always, it's never stuff I don't want. Like I do buy it and I use it, and it's not like that. It's not necessary, and I eventually would like to buy another house or a cottage or a boat or something. Like I'm not putting myself anywhere where I used to be, that's for sure. I just know that I have other things I want to spend my money on, and I'm just basically catching myself with some old habits lately. Just going in with this shade here to kind of add a little bit of color depth, because I'm losing my color. I'm losing my color! So if you really like muted tones, this is actually quite a nice palette. I'm not sure I'm in love with it. I'm going in with this green down here. But lately I've really been digging kind of like the subculture vibes. So where I'm going to be taking my channel, due to the fact that I am starting to spend emotionally, which I don't really like, it will be a lot more project pans. I'm going to be doing some palette bingos, hopefully more reviews. I'm going to actually go through all the stuff I bought for reviews and review it. Another reason I'm going to go on another no buy is because I'm starting to feel a little overwhelmed with trying to get reviews out in a timely manner. I just did a review for the Fetish Face Palette from Kat Von D, and it was very well received. I have a ton of new subscribers from that, so like thank you so much actually for, if you are new here, if you've been here forever, like welcome to my fam, I love it. But yeah, I actually want to comment on something that a few people have said on that video. And basically people were like, this is the lamest review I've ever seen, you didn't even put it on your face. So I would like to address that. It's a totally fair comment. However, I feel like if, as a beauty reviewer, if I have tried a product that I know that it looks like shit and I know that I hate it and I've tried for a few days and I want to go on and say some comments about it and give my thoughts on it, I don't have time to put shitty shit on my face and then take off my whole makeup and then go out. When I do my videos, it's very like, sit down, say my thoughts, and get out. You would never know that with this video, but still. So I'm gonna just go down into this orange here and put a little bit of that on my lower lash line. So yeah, I didn't put it on my face, but I had definitely tried it. It was not like a made up review or anything. It's just difficult for me to have the time to shoot a video and then have to completely redo my makeup and go about my day. So that's kind of why I hadn't done it. It was a fair comment, and I'll try not to do that again for the people that are newer here. And I do typically try and actually do a full review, like a full proper review. I'm gonna go into this green here and put that on my lower lash line as well. But yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that. Something else you will see in my videos coming up is a lot of kind of shop my stash, love my stash. So I do the palette tracking in my bullet journal, which I know a lot of you have seen. And I have numbered them all, and each, about every 3 weeks to a month or so, I haven't decided on the timeline, I'm going to basically pick 5 random palettes. I'll have a random number generator and I'll go reference, talk about the palettes. Kaylee Baute does something like this. I know there's a lot of palette bingos. It's kind of the same idea, but not with shades. It's going to be with full palettes. I think it's the only way that I can truthfully go through my stuff and use everything that I might not think to reach for. I'm going to go up into this shade here, which now I feel like I might regret it. I'm not going to use that one. So the Reloaded palette doesn't actually have a really nice brow bone shade, so I'm going to use the Soph times Makeup Brush. So my camera stopped working. I have no idea when, but apparently we are Princess Amidala right now. So I'm not in love with the applicator, and I typically like stuff that is a little bit drier in formula. But I really like the color. I like that it's a little bit different. It's like an orange, red, black, and it's a shiny lip that actually stays. I'd be interested in trying these slip teases in other colors and see how I feel about it. I also find it's like a little difficult to keep it straight. So my last product for this look is going to be the Wet n Wild Matte Finish Setting Spray, Finishing Spray, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if I'm supposed to shake it up, but I'm going to. And this spray is so wet. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to keep a running tally of all the products, and I know my camera cut off at some point, so hopefully it wasn't super weird. Welcome to everyone who is new here and everyone who commented and was part of that Kat Von D video. It kind of exploded. It almost has 10,000 views, so wow, thank you. That is amazing. Every time I get an email saying somebody subscribed, I'm like so jacked about it. No matter how many subscribers I get, I feel the same every time I get another one. Just like, thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me. I've said it before, I will say it again. Thank you for spending your most valuable commodity on me.